Hi everyone, just a small bit about Rome today, okay? So, in Roman society, people were not seen as equals. You were either a citizen, a non-citizen, or a slave. Most Romans accepted slavery, and slaves could be boys, or men, or women, or girls. And if you had been captured in battle, it was likely that you may be made into a slave, and you were sent back to Rome and sold. And abandoned children were taken as slaves, and sometimes fathers could even choose to sell their older children into the slave trade if they were desperate for money. Oh Lord. So, slaves were bought and sold at a slave market. Their individual prices depended on their skills and talents. For example, a slave that could cook would be much more expensive than one that couldn't. And as a slave, having important skills could be your ticket to better treatment from your master. Age also played a massive part in slave prices. Younger slaves were usually more expensive as they were often stronger and fitter. And gladiators, see the Colosseum in the background? Most gladiators were slaves who were taught to fight. However, they could win their freedom by fighting successfully in amphitheatres. So next week we might talk a little bit about the Colosseum there. You can see there's only ruins of that left now. So life after slavery. Although they became free, the former slaves still had a duty to serve their former master in some way. Many former slaves continued to do paid work for their former masters. And in some cases, a former slave who had grown up with the family and was treated as part of it inherited the family's wealth or even married a family member. Also, many freedmen went on to own many slaves of their own. So, Roman citizenship. In the rest of society, Roman people who weren't slaves could be granted Roman citizenship if they were considered worthy. For instance, a soldier who had served for many years. Roman citizenship brought privileges such as the right to vote, unless you're a woman, the right to a lawful marriage or a fair trial. No Roman citizen could ever receive a death penalty unless they were found guilty of treason. Okay, women and girls. Women were given a very basic education and were expected to take a traditional role in the household doing jobs such as preparing, cooking meals, making clothes and raising any children. They lived under the authority of their father or husband at all times. Now look at the types of houses they had in Rome, okay? Poor Romans lived in the countryside, small villages of wooden huts with thatched roofs. And here, poor Romans in towns and cities lived in the insulae. A Roman villa was a luxurious estate for rich Romans in the countryside. And then a domus was a type of house in the city in which rich Roman would have lived. See the swimming pool. Okay, so jobs. They had different jobs. Roman farmers, so here we had farmers. Roman farmers used to grow a lot of wheat as it was used to make bread. Merchants were people who sold and bought things from around the empire, and they helped to make the empire rich. Craftsmen were skilled people who would create items, and these could range from fine jewellery to pots and weapons for the empire, the Roman Empire. So you could be a soldier. Many poor people chose to become soldiers as it guaranteed a regular wage and were given land once they finished their 25-year service. Lawyers, teachers and engineers, educated Romans could do these jobs. Entertainers. These included actors, musicians, dancers, chariot racers and gladiators. And then the government jobs. This included many jobs such as clerks and tax collectors, but also included senators, and senators were high-ranking and were very rich and powerful. So look at the types of food they used to have, right? They used to have 3 meals a day, and lots of their diet was similar to the food we have today. In fact, many of the fruits and vegetables we know were brought to Britain by the Romans. Okay, so look, they could have for their breakfast bread, pancakes, dates and honey. Or for lunch, look, fish, cold meat, bread and vegetables. And for their evening meal, their dinner, poor Romans would eat vegetables and porridge, and richer Romans would eat a banquet and drank wine. So Roman banquets. As the empire conquered more areas, the Romans were able to enjoy the food from those countries too. The rich Romans would have huge banquets, feasts, and eat exotic foods to show off their wealth. Some of the most extravagant parties served peacock, stuffed dormouse, roast parrot, and milk-fed snails. Wow. For a banquet, the Romans would eat almost lying down. They would spread out on couches around a low table, and banquets could last for several hours. Okay, so that's just a little bit about Rome. Now, let's see where it is, right? Here is Italy, here, and here is Sicily. So I'm going to teach you something today now that you should be able to remember for a long time. Long leg of Italy, kicked poor Sicily into the Mediterranean Sea. That's the Mediterranean Sea, okay? Long leg of Italy, kicked poor Sicily into the Mediterranean Sea. So when you're asked in a table quiz, there's Italy, there's the island of Italy, which is called Sicily, and there's the Mediterranean Sea. And I know there's a mom in the class that lived in Italy for a while. Now, here we are. There we are in Ireland, okay? There's Dublin, and we're down here in the south, and Italy is all the ways down here, okay? So I don't know, how long would it take in a plane? 3 hours, 4 hours? And then here, if you can see, there's Rome. Okay, so it's kind of halfway down from the top of Rome to the bottom. There's Rome. Okay, and yeah, it's a nice city. So a small little bit about Italy, and a long leg of Italy kicked poor Sicily into the Mediterranean Sea. All right, so see you in Zoom.